International Day of Peace 2025 by AZLAN ADNAN MA. Sunday, 21st of September 2025. Each year, the United Nations invites the world to pause on 21st of September for the International Day of Peace. It is more than a ceremonial date on the calendar. It is a call to collective conscience. The day challenges us to reflect on war and violence in all their forms, and to recommit to dialogue, reconciliation, and justice as the foundation of true peace. Origins and meaning. The UN General Assembly established the International Day of Peace in 1981, originally aligning it with the opening session of the General Assembly each September. In 2001, the Assembly unanimously declared 24th September as a fixed date devoted to nonviolence and ceasefire. Since then, the day has grown into a global observance recognized by governments, civil society, and individuals across continents. At its heart, the day is not symbolic alone. It is meant to be practical. The UN calls for a 24-hour cessation of hostilities wherever possible, and for all people to mark the day with education and public awareness on issues of peace. Theme for 2025. The theme for 2025, Building Peace Through Shared Futures, recognizes that humanity's challenges are interwoven. Climate disruption, inequality, digital divides, and armed conflict all converge, amplifying one another. A fractured world cannot meet these crises alone. Cooperation is the only path to survival. Shared futures require shared commitments. Peace is not the absence of war, but the presence of justice, dignity, and sustainable opportunity. Contemporary challenges. Peace today feels fragile. Armed conflicts continue to displace millions. Rising nationalism strains multilateralism. Climate change fuels competition over water and arable land. Misinformation spreads distrust across societies. Yet history reminds us that peace is never a straight line. It advances through perseverance, setbacks, and renewed resolve. The abolition of apartheid, reconciliation in Northern Ireland, and post-genocide rebuilding in Rwanda all testify that even in the darkest circumstances, societies can choose a different path. The role of education. Education remains one of the most powerful tools for cultivating peace. When learners are exposed to diverse histories, languages, and cultures, empathy takes root. Peace education fosters critical thinking that can resist propaganda and hate speech. Schools that integrate human rights, gender equality, and environmental stewardship into their curricula are planting the seeds of long-term stability. Individual responsibility. While the International Day of Peace is coordinated at the highest levels of diplomacy, its spirit is lived out in ordinary choices. Each act of kindness, each fair negotiation, each respectful exchange across cultural or ideological divides is a contribution to peace. Lighting a candle, holding a moment of silence, joining a peace march, or simply mediating a dispute within one's own community, all are valid observances of this day. Peace is not delivered from above. It is constructed from below, brick by brick. A call to action. On this 21st September, 2025, let us not underestimate our agency. Governments must prioritize diplomacy over aggression. Corporations must weigh profit against planetary survival. Communities must protect the vulnerable and marginalized. Individuals must resist the easy lure of prejudice. Peace demands courage, the courage to listen, to forgive, to imagine a future different from the present. Conclusion. The International Day of Peace is not a holiday to be observed passively. It is an invitation to active citizenship in the service of humanity's highest goal. The UN can declare the day, but its meaning depends on us. If each of us chooses reconciliation over resentment, dialogue over division, justice over indifference, then peace is no longer an abstraction. In a world too accustomed to conflict, let today stand as proof that another way is always possible. Building Peace Through Shared Futures. Building a Better Malaysia for Our Collective Future by AZLAN ADNAN, MA. Sunday, 21st September 2025. At the Green Party of Malaysia, our mission is committed to building a better Malaysia for our collective future. The overlap between this vision and this year's UN theme of building peace through shared futures is striking. Both point toward inclusivity, solidarity, and long-term thinking, but they are not identical. Shared futures suggests different communities working together toward a future in common. A collective future, however, carries a deeper meaning. There is only one future, Not one for Malays, another for Chinese, another for Indians, and certainly not one separate for Sabah and Sarawak. Only one future exists, collective and shared by all. The Green Party of Malaysia takes this concept 2 steps further. First, we affirm that there is only one race, the human race. When we speak of our collective future, we envision a future shared by all of humanity. Then we take inclusivity to its logical conclusion. By collective, we do not only mean Homo sapiens, we mean all species. Humanity does not stand at the apex of a pyramid of life. We exist in a flat web of life, interwoven with the microorganisms in our gut, the flora and fauna that feed us, and the species that provide timber, fibers, and other essentials. We live on a planet of finite resources. To embrace true inclusivity, we must envision a collective future for all beings, and even for inanimate elements, rivers, lakes, oceans, air, soil, minerals, and rare earths. These habitats and resources sustain every form of life. If they are depleted, not only humanity, but all existence is imperiled. To speak of a collective future means embracing the survival and flourishing of all species, not just our own. A collective future of peace must be more than the absence of war. It must embody cooperation, collaboration, and harmony. I envision a future of love for one another, for animals, for plants, for all that shares this planet. When I consider today's crises, pollution, resource depletion, habitat destruction, species extinction, war, land grabs, forced displacement, I see not many problems but one: overpopulation. These challenges are all symptoms of the same root. Even wars are ultimately battles over resources to serve an ever-growing population. If we cannot ethically, morally, and legally reduce our numbers to 1 billion, then we must swiftly learn to live as though we were only 1 billion. That means drastically reducing our carbon footprint and our consumption of finite resources. Business as usual is not sustainable. It is what brought us to perilous point. To create the collective future we envision is no easy task, yet it is essential. Our very survival as a species and as a planet depends on it. Radical changes must be made, and they begin with ourselves. For things to change, first I must change. We begin with a mindset shift. Begin with the end in mind. Change whatever it takes. In governance, we must abandon race-based and religion-based politics for an inclusive model. We must even move beyond narrow nationalist agendas to embrace a universal, equitable, and sustainable vision. We must embrace GENIOCRACY, NOOCRACY, MERITOCRACY, and TECHNOCRACY. We must reject not only kleptocracy and kakistocracy, but also Madani mediocrity. On this International Day of Peace, let us choose inclusivity, sustainability, and love. Let us choose to build peace for our one shared collective future. My Political Philosophy and Ideology by AZLAN ADNAN, M.A. Sunday, 21st of September, 2025. I believe in thinking boldly, acting with purpose, and striving for ideals that challenge the status quo. I hold that visionary goals must be paired with pragmatic strategies to create meaningful change. I seek to inspire others while navigating the realities of human behavior and societal constraints. Big dreams. Yes, I admit that. But if my dreams aren't big enough to scare me, then they're not big enough, not worth pursuing. A journey of 10,000 miles begins with a single step. Defining the destination sets the direction. Without it, any road will get me there. It may not be achieved within my lifetime, but putting it out there matters. If it resonates with a critical mass of people, momentum can build, and the breakthroughs I aspire to may become a distinct possibility. As Margaret Mead famously said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." This optimism guides my philosophy. Yes, it is idealistic, but idealism is my compass. Realpolitik reminds me of friction, entrenched interests, and the slow pace of systemic change. The key is to hold both in dynamic tension. Dream boldly, but act pragmatically. My ideology is morally rigorous and inclusively visionary, emphasizing sustainability, interspecies ethics, and a collective human future. Where it may collide with reality is in implementation. Voluntary transcendence of identity, entrenched power, and self-interest is rarely immediate. Global-scale ambitions, population management, interspecies inclusivity require incremental strategies. I recognize that human behavior is a mix of self-interest and altruism. Expertise-driven governance, geniocracy, noocracy, technocracy, meritocracy, must be phased in with democratic legitimacy to avoid backlash or alienation. Messaging must connect with tangible steps, policy pilots, public education, and local experiments in sustainability. My dream sets the horizon. Realpolitik charts the stepping stones. In essence, my philosophy thrives in the balance, visionary enough to inspire, grounded enough to navigate human constraints. Momentum, optimism, and strategic pragmatism can transform even the most audacious ideals into feasible pathways without diluting the moral core. Why WFPB, Doctors for Nutrition? WFPB stands for Whole Food, Plant-Based, a diet and lifestyle focused on plant-derived foods that are unprocessed or minimally processed, while minimizing or excluding animal products and highly refined ingredients. The diet emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, while avoiding added sugars, refined flours, and oils. The core principle is to eat foods in their natural state or close to it, rather than highly processed imitation products. Key principles: whole foods, foods that are in their natural, unrefined state or have undergone minimal processing, like canned beans or frozen vegetables. Plant-based, foods that come exclusively from plants, excluding meat, dairy, eggs, and honey. Minimal processing, a focus on foods that are as close to nature as possible, avoiding ingredients that are heavily refined, such as white flour, white rice, and added oils. Nutrient dense, prioritizing foods rich in fiber, vitamins, and minerals to meet nutritional needs. Foods to emphasize: fruits and vegetables, a wide variety of fresh and colorful produce. Whole grains, such as brown rice, oats, quinoa, and whole wheat. Legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas, and peas. Nuts and seeds, almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds. Foods to limit or avoid processed foods, any food that has been heavily altered from its natural state. Animal products, meat, dairy, and eggs. Refined grains, white flour, white rice, and pasta made from refined flour. Added sugars and artificial sweeteners, including high fructose corn syrup and confectioner's sugar. Added oils, even those considered minimally processed like olive oil, are typically excluded due to their processing and added calories. WFPB versus vegan diet. While both are plant-focused, a vegan diet focuses only on eliminating animal products and can include highly processed foods, while a WFPB diet additionally emphasizes whole, minimally processed foods. A heartfelt light. To every soul whose hand did give, you've helped me dream, helped me live. In darkest hours your light came through, with hearts so kind, so pure, so true. Your gifts, like stars in deepest night, have steered me gently toward the light. Each coin, each word, each silent prayer, a thread of hope so rich, so rare. My eyes once dimmed now seek the skies, and slowly clearer visions rise. Because of you, I dare to see the world again, its grace, its plea. Your compassion's flame will not just stay with me alone. It lights the way for others wandering through despair to feel the warmth of selfless care. You've shown what love in action means, in quiet ways through giving scenes. You've built a bridge from soul to soul and made the broken feel more whole. So let this thanks rise like a song, a melody both soft and strong. May your example gently call more hearts to rise to give. To fall into the joy of lifting pain, of planting hope where none remains. Your kindness walks beside me still, a light, a love, a living will.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.